Good afternoon and welcome to SACAP's webinar on how to become an ICF credentialed coach. I'm your host, Stephanie Dehaan, and I am the Events and Content Manager for SACAP. Right at the end of this presentation, we will be hosting a live Q&A session, so please feel free to use the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen to pop in any questions, thoughts, or concerns that you might have during the presentation. So without any further ado, I will now hand over to Nadia Janssen, who is the coaching coordinator for SACAP.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good afternoon, everyone. As Stephanie mentioned, my name is Nadia Janssen, and I am the coaching coordinator at the South African College of Applied Psychology, or SACAP. We are a private higher institution training psychologists, counselors, and coaches for over 25 years. We have campuses in Cape Town, Johannesburg, Pretoria, Durban, and an online campus. Zooming in on SACAP's coaching programs, the programs are accredited by the International Coaching Federation, better known as the ICF, as a Level 2 training program. SACAP is also a Commensa Silver and Gold training provider. This is important to note because our short learning programs and coaching qualification all provide a pathway to credentialing with the professional coaching bodies. You may ask yourself, well, why credential? Credentialing with professional bodies adds rigor and professionalism to your coaching brand, or if you'd like to set up a practice one. Advantages that can positively impact your career development, expand your coaching network, and provide access to valuable resources and opportunities within the coaching industry, which in turn may be valued by your potential target audience and future coaching clients. The next slide gives you a very brief overview of the ICF's credentialing processes in relation to SACAP's coaching program components. For the student that registers for the Coach Practitioner program, the items selected are the ICF's requirements for the credentialing process. SACAP, as an ICF coach education provider, delivers the accredited training hours as well as the mentor coaching hours. These are, however, specific standard requirements that the coach in training would be responsible for. If a student would like to credential with the ICF on the Associate Certified Coach level, or ACC, they require a minimum of 60 hours of training. With the SACAP Coach Practitioner program, we currently carry 115 hours of training. Students will also receive the 10 hours of mentor coaching, which is made up of 3 hours of individual mentor coaching, as well as 7 hours of group mentor coaching. It would be the student's responsibility to complete the ICF's online questionnaire, and you would notice that this is sort of the same for each of the programs across the board, but we'll chat into that in more detail. To submit a performance evaluation recording, complete the required observe sessions, and while you are on a coaching journey, you'd also be required to submit 100 hours of completed paid coaching sessions. We do encourage students and motivate students to start coaching as early as when you commence your selected program. The motivation is that the more you practice and grow your coaching log, the more confident and comfortable you become as a coach. In the next column, we focus on the Advanced Coach Practitioner program, which is delivered on the Professional Certified Coach level, also known as the PCC. As part of the ICF credential application, you require 125 training hours, 10 hours of mentor coaching, and a performance evaluation with a PCC equivalent pass. The check marks on the screen indicate that these requirements are covered once you complete SACAP's Advanced Coach Practitioner program with the ACPP. The student's responsibility would be the ICF's online questionnaire, same as the Coach Practitioner program, as well as 500 hours of paid coaching. If we look at the last column, the postgraduate diploma is also delivered on the PCC level. To credential with the ICF, you require 125 training hours, 10 hours of mentor coaching, a performance evaluation, and 500 paid coaching hours. The postgraduate diploma in coaching includes a 6-month supervised internship. Upon completion, students will have a guaranteed 100 hours of paid coaching. Your responsibility as the coach would then be to complete the ICF's online questionnaire and grow your log to gather an additional 400 hours of coaching. On the next slide, we'll chat about, or we'll speak into the different pathways of becoming a professional coach. The first short learning program is the Coach Practitioner Program. The second is the Advanced Coach Practitioner Program. These programs are non-credit bearing, and at the end of these 2 short learning programs, you'll receive a certificate of competence that will speak into the ICF and commensurate training hours, as well as additional practical activities, which we chatted about, the group mentor coaching and practical coaching hours. The Coach Practitioner Program is a 5-month program which comprises of 3 modules and additional activities. The Advanced Coach Practitioner Program, which is the gray color, is a 6-month program. An entrance requirement to the advanced program is the completion or successful completion of the Coach Practitioner Program. Together, the Coach Practitioner Program and the advanced program make up year 1 of the postgraduate diploma in coaching. The last dark blue line indicates the postgraduate diploma in coaching, which is an honors equivalent qualification, and on the National Qualification Framework, it sits at a level 8. It runs for 2 years and it's on a part-time basis. The program was designed with the working professional in mind. So the SACAP coaching program is grounded in applied psychology, because we are at the College of Psychology. The very first module is an introduction to psychology. So in class, you'll be introduced to various psychological theories and how these relate to coaching conversations. Competency-based modules focuses on the ICF competencies as well as commensurate behavioral standards. During these modules, you dive straight into your coaching skills and competencies. You move from doing to being the coach. You are geared with additional tools and skills to assist your client in moving forward or becoming unstuck. Because coaches work with people, it's also important to understand behavior and to understand why people do what they do or don't do. The ACC, or the advanced program, the middle column, is a deeper dive into the ethics, the values, and the diversity of coaching. There is greater insight into adult learning, motivation, and change. Over and above Whitmore's GROW model, students are further introduced to the likes of Nancy Klein's Time to Think, Ken Wilber's Integral Model, solution-focused theories, etc., etc. With more practice, feedback, and mentor coaching, students are thoroughly prepped for the performance exam or performance evaluation. Year 2 of the postgraduate diploma in coaching focuses on mastery. It's an opportunity for the coach to build their own coaching model based on models, techniques, tools that they've been exposed to over the programs and that resonates with them, after being exposed to like their first year of training. The final module includes a 6-month supervised internship at a placement site of your choice, as well as a final research paper component. As a coaching training, you'll be encouraged to journal, you'll be encouraged to self-reflect, to track your growth, your development as you move through the program. I'd like to hand over to Siviwe, SACAP Sales Manager, who will guide you through the application and registration process at SACAP. Thank you, Siviwe.
Morning, everyone, or good afternoon, rather. Thank you for the presentation, Nadia. As mentioned, I'm the sales manager for SACAP, and yeah, I'll just be telling you guys a bit of how you guys can go about sort of applying for the program itself. Okay, so obviously, yeah, we have the Coach Practitioner Program, as Nadia explained before. It's one of the 3 programs that SACAP offers. And the requirements for that is you would need to have a minimum of 3 years of work experience. It doesn't have to be in coaching itself or psychology. It can be in any working field. And as mentioned there, the acceptance is subject to selection process. So basically what that means, once you apply and get all your documents in, you would still need to have sort of an information session where I think we sort of explain a bit more of what you can expect in the program, just to fully make you understand what you will be getting yourself into, and then thereafter we'd be able to push you through for an interview, which would take place with the coaching department. And then they would be the ones who sort of decide the final outcome of whether you'll be accepted in the program or not. And then just in regards to the application process, as you can see, so you'd first apply online, and then some of the documents we need from you would be a certified copy of your ID, certified copy of your highest qualification, and then there is a CV that you would need to upload, so your most up-to-date CV, and then there's an application fee of 300 Rand. Yeah, once you've got all those documents in, the application would get processed by an admissions officer, who would then contact you to sort of organize that information session. Again, and that's just going into a bit more detail of what you can expect in the program, how the program will run. It also gives you an opportunity to ask sort of any questions you might have about the program before we send you through to the interview stage. Okay, and then we have the Advanced Coach Practitioner Program. So yeah, again, here it's a short learning program. It's a minimum of 3 years working experience, much like the Coach Practitioner Program. And obviously, you're only able to get into this program once you complete the Coach Practitioner Program. And then you'd be able to move forward into the advanced. I think maybe, I'm not sure if Nadia touched on this, but sort of the way the program works is you aren't able to go straight into the Advanced Coach Practitioner Program. You would first have to start with the Coach Practitioner Program, and then towards the other end of completing that qualification, you would have to decide whether you actually want to move on and do the advanced or go straight into the postgrad diploma in coaching, provided that you meet the requirements to get into that program as well. Yeah, I think we mentioned before, the acceptance is subject to selection process. And then the documents would pretty much be the same: certified ID copy, certified highest qualification copy, application fee of 300 Rand, as well as your CV. Okay, and then an admissions officer process that for you and make contact in order to push you through to your interview. So the Coach Practitioner Program, that's 5 months, and this one is 6 months. And essentially, these 2 programs make up the first year of the postgraduate diploma in coaching. All right, so you would be in class with people who would be doing the PGDC. Again, this does not mean, once you complete this advanced that you automatically get acceptance into the postgrad diploma in coaching. You're still required to meet the requirements for that qualification as well, which is a bachelor's undergrad degree. And as you'll see in the next slide for us, please, Steph. Okay, yeah, as you'll probably see in the postgrad diploma in coaching, the requirement is that you have an undergrad degree. It can be in any sort of field. It doesn't have to be in psychology or coaching or counseling. And then that must be coupled with some working experience. So 5 years working experience would be very advantageous, although obviously this is, subject to our discretion. And then there is an alternative way to get into this program, and that would be to apply via the RPL method, and that's called the recognition of prior learning. So essentially, this method of applying is for people who don't necessarily meet the above requirements, which would be to hold a bachelor's undergrad degree. However, if you hold a diploma qualification and you have a bit of working experience, then this would be the most ideal, route for you to apply. So yeah, again, the application process here is pretty much the same. You apply online, submit your documentation, You have what we call is an information session. After that information session, you would then be pushed through for your interview. And yeah, depending on how well that interview goes and whether you're suitable for the program, would obviously determine the outcome of you getting accepted or not. Okay, so and then documentation is pretty much the same as outlined below there.
We'll now move into our live Q&A session. So if you've got any questions or you'd like to ask anything or just like some more information, please feel free to pop your questions in the Q&A box now. We do have one question in the meantime. Nadia, if you could join us on screen, please. An attendee would like to know, can previous hours done be taken into account for these required hours?
So if we're speaking about hours, if I'm correct, we're referring to like coaching hours that the applicants already completed. And if these coaching hours, if it's ICF accredited training has been completed during, when these coaching hours took place, then the hours can be added to the ICF coaching log. But in the event that there is no accredited training that ties into these coaching hours, then unfortunately not. I hope that answers the question. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Nadia. One of our attendees are still at school. Siviwe, could you maybe provide some options for anybody who's on the call on this webinar at the moment who do not qualify or meet the minimum 3 years work experience?
Yeah, so I think as mentioned, for instance, for the postgrad diploma in coaching, the requirements is you need to have an undergrad degree. And if you don't have the undergrad degree and 3 to 5 years working experience, then the next option for you is to apply via the recognition of prior learning. And that's if you maybe hold, let's say, a diploma qualification coupled with a couple of years of experience. You could then utilize that to put together your portfolio of evidence in order to be considered for the postgrad diploma in coaching studies. And then if you aren't sure, this is what you really want, if you do meet the requirements, you really aren't sure this is really what you want to do. Some people always do start with a coach practitioner program itself and see how that goes. And then near towards the end of the program, they then have the opportunity to decide whether, they just want to move on into the advanced coach practitioner program or actually push on and do the whole postgrad diploma in coaching itself. I think what I can speak on, through my own experience, through the program is it's one of those programs, that has a lot of self-discovery involved. I think when I got involved in the program, the reason I got into it is because, when I moved from university into the corporate world, I found myself, very challenging to express myself in certain meetings or sort of in the corporate space was very difficult for me to express myself, and someone recommended me to go to a coach. And I think through a series of asking questions and asking the validity of my statements about myself, and having someone who's a sounding board really improved sort of my approach and the way I sort of handle things in my working space. Well, not in my professional capacity, but in my personal capacity as well. If you're looking for, I guess, for a journey of self-discovery, this is really the program you should be looking to take part in. And then I see there's a question there, what is the yearly intake for the program? So currently, Lauren, we only run this program once a year. The program now itself will be starting on the 5th of June, when the second term begins. We are still taking in registrations and applications. As mentioned, there is the promotion running until the 29th of May. And then, classes will begin from the 5th of June onwards. So it's only one intake per year. But normally we open up our applications, from about December, we've already opened up applications. So you do have an opportunity to apply from way back then.
Thanks so much, Siviwe. Nadia, we do have a follow-up question on the hours. So when you say paid hours, does this mean that the client is required to pay for the session?
Thanks, Steph. Yes, the client is required to pay for the session, but paid can be, there are different forms of payment. Paid could be in the shape of a barter, for example, or you having a coaching session with the client and the client perhaps buys you a cup of coffee, for example, or you're coaching a client, you set up a few sessions and the client builds your website. So there is bartering allowed. The ICF does list experience requirements. So coaching can be either pro bono, and probably when you're starting out, and again, from an ethical perspective, how comfortable are you with charging? You might want to charge with the nominal fee, and then as you move through the program and as you build confidence, you could then start establishing yourself, in terms of where you'd like to pin yourself from a pay point. But paid means that you get paid to coach a client, whether it's a small fee exchange, and eventually, building up a client base. But you get paid to coach, yes.
Thanks so much, Nadia. We do see quite a few questions asking about our fees, and we do have a colleague who will be answering you guys with a link directly to our fees and payment options. Nadia, I'm not sure if you'd be able to speak into this, but what is the work experience required for a program like this? Is it experience particularly for coaching, or can it be in another field?
So work experience as well as the undergraduate degree can be in any field. The coaching program is not set up and geared towards a specific type of coaching, executive coaching or health coaching, fitness or wellness coaching. It's just coaching. So you can have any undergraduate degree in order to, move into the postgraduate diploma in coaching. What's great about the coaching cohorts that we run is that we have applicants and students from various backgrounds, various industries, different levels of management, upper management. We have retired, semi-retired, and this brings and adds to that level of variety within the classroom and sharing experiences, finding out, how is one incorporating coaching in a financial space, for example? How is coaching linked into education? What's happening in fintech, engineering? So the applicants will then take coaching into whichever niche market or whichever industry they feel, coaching's needed. So you don't need a specific undergraduate degree, and you don't need to have certain type of work experience. If you have psychology background, it's great, because there's a route in psychology. It'll be a refresher. It's like a Psych 101 kind of take. And if you have no psych background, what's great is that there is some introduction to psychology, and you'll have a very nice base to start off with if you are launching into a psychology field.
Thanks so much, Nadia. And then Sam's follow-up question, if yours as a HR manager would count, I hope that answers your question. It would. So we do have a question. One of our attendees would like to know, if you've got a master's degree, how would we evaluate where they would start?
So again, a master's degree obviously is above a bachelor's and undergraduate degree. So you would most definitely, and if you have working experience to go along with that, you'd definitely be in contention to be a part of the program. So if you have a master's degree and you have a couple of years of working experience, I would definitely go ahead and apply. So yeah, that would count. Again, it doesn't have the degree you do doesn't have to be in a particular field. I think as Nadia has mentioned that, when I was part of the program, there are people from all sorts of different professional backgrounds, sales managers, HR managers, people in the IT industry. The beauty of coaching is that it can be applied across the board, whatever sort of career field you're in. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. And maybe some people might be fairly new to what coaching is. Coaching itself it's a goal-oriented conversation. It's a professional conversation that you have with your client. And you're not there to offer advice, but you're there to guide and ask insightful questions to make the person think, for themselves and what's good for them. So that's what coaching is. So if you really enjoy that and that really fascinates you, that's something I would definitely consider for you to go into this type of program.
Thanks, Siviwe. Lacey's got a question asking, when does the orientation start for the postgrad diploma? Based in Cape Town and has applied for this program. Lacey, Siviwe, I am correct in saying that orientation will start on the 29th of May, right?
Correct.
And Lacey, what you can do is just leave your email address for us, and we can follow up on that application for you. Okay, Nadia, are you able to join us on screen again, please? We have a question from Esme. Do the 2 observed coaching sessions happen for one individual mentor coaching session and one group mentor coaching session? Or how do these sessions work?
Thanks, Esme, for your questions. Stephanie, I wonder if it's possible to if we could go back a few slides, just to give context to Esme's question about observed session, to avoid any confusion. Oh, that slide's fine. So for each of the programs, there are various numbers of additional activities. And Esme, you're correct in saying that there are observed sessions, individual mentor coaching sessions, and group mentor coaching sessions. Observed sessions are a coaching conversation that's recorded, that's submitted for observation by a coach. So there are 2 of these sessions. So you'll meet 2 clients, or you'll meet the same client twice, and with their permission, you'll record a coaching conversation and submit that for observation. A coach will then give you feedback based on what they are observing within the ICF core competencies within that recording, whether it's there, whether the competency is evidence or not within that conversation. So those are observed sessions. Mentor coaching sessions, you will have an opportunity to meet with the coach who's observed your session and has given you feedback in a mentor session. So you'll chat about the feedback, you'll chat about the session, you'll set goals in the session, you'll focus on your strengths, your areas of development, and it's like coaching about your coaching and your development as a coach. The group mentor coaching sessions are shared learning experiences. So like mentor sessions, just in a group setting. So it's a group of 10 students who'll meet a facilitator and together bring questions around coaching, bring questions around the core competencies, referrals, escalations, ethics, etc., etc. And in a group setting, you'll discuss any questions that you might have with the input of a master coach facilitating these sessions. So that's just a very, very, very brief overview of what those additional activities are, Esme. And I hope that is clear.
Yeah, maybe if I could just add to that, I guess as a student, I think maybe the worry sometimes is that you just have this observed session that you have to do, and with no sort of prior experience on how to do that. So before you have your first observed session, you guys would have taken part in what we call an intensive. Okay, and that's where you sort of learn about the foundations of coaching and how essentially the structure of a coaching conversation should go. So you do have a lot of learning that takes place before that observed session, and then that observed session is essentially, I guess, that first practical application of what you've learned so far. Okay, so I think the program first started, we used to have to actually coach in front of an observer who is your educator. But now I think you guys, the program since evolved, and you guys have just, have the audio recording of you and your client. And, obviously we just have to show the coaching competencies that you would have learned about in that observed session. And then you get graded on that observed session. You get feedback on an actual sheet. And then you would take that feedback that you've received. You would go to your individual mentor coach. And as Nadia mentioned, that coaching session is essentially coaching you on your coaching. All right, so it's to help you improve as a coach, what your development areas are in your coaching practice, what sort of skills you need to work on in regards to coaching. And you guys could discuss that feedback sheet as well, what some of the comments are and how you can improve on that. So that's the sort of, I guess, the flow once you're actually into the program. That's how it would work there.
Lovely. Thanks so much for that in-depth answer. I'm sure everybody on this webinar would have appreciated it. Nadia, we do have another question for you. So are the coaching programs only available for face-to-face teaching?
So the coaching programs has a sort of a blended approach. There are modules that are evening modules. Evening modules run once a week online for 10 weeks. This year, if sessions will take place on a Tuesday evening, the first module takes place from 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock, and we use the Zoom platform to deliver these modules. So in addition to that's the first type of module, those are online sessions. There are also the intensive modules that Siviwe just referred to. Intensive modules are block weeks. These block weeks take place from during the week, from about 8 to 8:30 till 4 to 4:30. And it's from a Tuesday to a Friday, and they take place at the Cape Town campus or Johannesburg campus. So it's a blend. There'll be evening modules of 10 weeks, and then there'll be block weeks of 4 to 5 days, perhaps. There's one intensive that's 5 days, but generally it's about 4 days. For full days from 8 to 5, you have to be on campus. And because of the accreditation and because of, the amount of hours that you need, contact hours and those training hours, we do require 100% attendance for those intensive modules. The on-site, you would probably have to take leave, annual leave, study leave, etc., to be available. We mentioned that the program is set up and designed with the working professional in mind. And how we usually do this is that the timetable is readily available. So for working profession, you can put in leave for the next year if you're completing the advanced program, for the next 2 years if you're completing the postgraduate diploma in coaching. So there's a lot of time management, and there's a lot of notices in advance to say this activity is coming up, there's an intensive happening, did you book your leave, etc., etc. So it's online and face-to-face, but there's a lot of notification in advance, which allows working professionals to time manage their career and also a coaching qualification.
Thanks so much, Nadia. We've got another question. Monique would like to know, what is the main difference between the 5-month coach practitioner program and the advanced coach practitioner program, so 6 months? And then again, another main difference between those two and the postgrad, besides the cost, the NQF level, and the duration. Nadia, would you like me to go back to that last slide and maybe you could just highlight some key differences between the three?
Yes, thanks, Steph.
Thanks.
So we've mentioned earlier that the coach practitioner program and the advanced coach practitioner program are short learning programs. Just reiterating so that we can sort of discuss the differences. They are short learning programs, so they are not qualifications, and you'll receive a certificate of competence for those 2 modules. So big difference here is that the 2 short learning programs and the postgraduate diploma, which is a qualification. It's an honors equivalent qualification. It means you'll graduate, you'll receive the diploma, you'll technically walk the stage. That's one of the big differences. Another difference is the number of observed sessions and mentor coaching sessions between the coach practitioner program and the advanced and postgrad. There are additional observed sessions within the advanced and postgrad program. The internship component is also only built into the postgraduate diploma of the 3 programs. The coach practitioner and the advanced makes up year 1 of the first year of the postgrad. All students start off at the same point, at the same module. Each student needs to complete module A in order to move into module B and C, etc. So all students sort of begins at the same point, but you just exit the program at different points. So that would be the difference between the coach practitioner program and the advanced. The performance evaluation is your responsibility to complete if you're a coach practitioner student. The evaluation is part of the advanced program, so that's another difference. So that's another tick box between the advanced and the coach practitioner program. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Nadia. We do have a follow-up question from the same attendee. So due to the block sessions, is the program not available to international students? And when are the dates made available for the in-person sessions?
We've actually had our first international student this year. The arrangement she had and the understanding is that arrangements can be made ahead of time. The timetable is available already. If you have not yet reached out to admissions team or Siviwe, we can share that timetable with you now so that you can sort of plan in advance. So we've had our first international student this year. It's just that for the intensive modules, the student flew into South Africa and attended, this particular student attended the sessions on the Cape Town campus. But I mean, based on where you are, you could join the Johannesburg campus or the Cape Town campus. Looking ahead, the second year of the postgrad, there are no intensive modules in the second year. The intensive modules, which is the block weeks face-to-face, takes part, or at least happens within the first year of studies. So you could do the entire second year remotely.
Thanks, Nadia. And then just to clarify, how frequent are these intensives in that first year?
Okay. If you could hop back to that beautiful slide, Stephanie.
No problem. Give me a second. There we go.
So if you're looking at the slide, the coaching foundations, and I'm looking at the pink column, the coach practitioner program, coaching foundations, relationship and communication skills, and facilitating transformative learning and growth in coaching. Those are 2 intensive modules. They take place in 2023. If you look at 2024, applying principles of adult learning, the first half begins in 2023, the second half in 2024. Ethics, values, and diversity in coaching and coaching models, methods, and tools are 2 intensive modules that takes place in the beginning of 2024. So that's just a rough idea. So there's 2 modules this year, intensive modules, and 2 modules early 2024 that are intensive and on-site for students.
So, thanks so much, Nadia. I think we are moving towards the end of our session. We do have one more question. And then again, for anybody who has a question like this, where it's quite specific on your current qualification and what the next step would be, we do encourage you to leave your email address with us or to book an appointment with an admissions officer, because it is best for us to assess what your current qualification is and what your end goal would be in order to advise based on which program you should start with or what your outcomes would be. So Nadia, just a quick question, and I'm not sure how best to answer this, but if you could just give, I think, our attendees an idea. So I have completed a level 1 ICF training with another institution, and I have completed all the requirements. Which coaching program would I need to start with? I'm assuming if they were to start at SACAP, and then this attendee does have a master's qualification in psychology.
So the student, can you hear me now? The student would have to begin from the start. The students completed level 1 training, but the SACAP coaching program is a level 2 training. So they would have to begin from the start and then move through the program.
Okay, thank you so much. Awesome. So I think that brings us to the end of our live Q&A session. And I do see some email addresses coming in. So as mentioned, we will make contact with you to answer your questions around which program would be best for you. If you have any last questions, anything you maybe didn't think of asking or has just come up on your side, please do ask in the Q&A box or in the chat box along with your email address, and our team will definitely be sure to make contact and answer those questions. Thank you so much, Siviwe and Nadia, for sharing information and for answering questions today. And to all our attendees for joining and showing your interest. We do hope you have a lovely day further, and we look forward to being with you on your coaching journey.